Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at 5 things you need to know about this new moon total solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. Though before we do get started, I also am curious to know, what other things do you think others should know about this eclipse in Sagittarius? I will be, of course, talking about 5 things, but if there is anything else you would like to add, then feel free to do so in the comment section. Okay, so with all of that being said, let's do this. Okay, so the first thing you need to know about this new moon total solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius is that it will be taking place whilst the sun and moon in Sagittarius are both at 12 degrees, so creating the number 3 in numerological terms. Now, the number 3, of course, it signifies creativity, naivety, playfulness, optimism, communication. It's really the number 3 that is largely about creating an upbeat and lively environment. It's about being youthful, curious, and engaging. And interestingly enough, this eclipse will also be conjunct Mercury in Sagittarius as well. And of course, it is the planet Mercury that is associated with communication and engagement within astrology. But with it being in Sag, perhaps this eclipse is ushering in a moment of deep reflection when it comes to how we communicate with ourselves internally, but then also how that is then placed back out into the outer world as well. So looking at our thoughts, are they uplifting? Are they joyous? Or do you perceive things as half full? Are you optimistic and happy when it comes to your mindset? Do you play around with ideas just for the fun of it? And are you willing to learn more about the world around you with eagerness and openness? So yes, these things are greatly to do with Sagittarius themes, but keeping in mind that Mercury will be at 15 degrees, creating the number 6 in numerological terms. And 6 is representative of the caregiver, of the nurturer. So taking time to nurture our thoughts, to support ourselves through learning and language, but to do so in a way that is expansive, honest, and larger than life. Maybe by reflecting on these things during this eclipse, maybe you can welcome a new beginning in association with your mindset, with your intellect, particularly within the area of life that this eclipse is taking place in. So for example, let's say the eclipse is playing out in your 7th house. So looking towards you Gemini folks out there, okay? Then this eclipse could perhaps represent a fresh outlook. So this more optimistic outlook towards your one-on-one relationships. These things can be applied to your one-on-one relationships. Or let's say this eclipse is playing out in your 10th house. Pisces individuals, this is for you. These new ideals and these new learning opportunities could apply to your public position, to your reputation, and also towards your long-term goals. Or, you know what, let's say this eclipse is playing out in your 4th house, like myself, and this is directed towards those of you with Virgo energy, you Virgos out there. So these new positive and uplifting ways of thinking could be applied to the establishment of your own home and or family. I have been thinking about these things quite a bit over the past year or so. Essentially though, I think this is a chance for us to set new intentions when it comes to how we look towards the future. So for example, do you see a bright future ahead, or do you feel unsure? Are you feeling positive and hopeful about your future aspirations, or do you feel an overwhelming sensation of dread? What is the vision? What are you trying to hit? What are you trying to reach? Or do you find it challenging to visualize anything or to aim or shoot towards anything at all? Do you feel inspired right now? Do you feel good about your path, about the direction that you're headed towards right now? Or do you feel super scattered? Do you feel misguided? Perhaps in this way, it's a good idea to journal or take note of these feelings and of these emotions during this time. So sit with yourself, have a moment to reflect, have a moment to breathe out. And even if you are a super busy person, just check in with yourself throughout the day in any ways that you can. And also pay close attention to how you are feeling. I mean, it is the moon that is all about feelings and emotions and reflecting and going internal. Now, do keep in mind that this is an eclipse. And the thing about eclipses is that the effects, the impacts of eclipses, they can feel much, much stronger than regular moons, regular full moons and new moons. And the impacts and the effects can also be felt for much longer as well. We are talking about around up to about 6 months here. Likewise, when it comes to eclipses, you may find that it feels as if time is speeding up. I have certainly felt this within the past couple of weeks. I've just felt like I've blinked and it's a new week. And the last thing I just want to say here, sleep. I find when it comes to eclipses that my sleeping is not the best, and you may be able to relate to what I'm saying here. Okay, so the second thing you need to know is that this eclipse in Sagittarius is a part of a bigger cycle that has been happening within the past year and a half. So back in June 2020, a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius took place. Then a solar eclipse occurred in December 2020, and then another lunar eclipse happened this year, so back in May 2021. Therefore, try to recall what events have been going on for you throughout this time period. Now, of course, with the pandemic, we have all collectively been faced with difficulties and restrictions, but maybe you can shed some light on what was happening for you personally. So for example, maybe these eclipses have been playing out within your first house. So looking at you Sagittarius individuals. And so over the past year and a half, it's just been go, go, go. It's as if time is flying by, especially because you've been so busy with new life chapters, new projects, new experiences. Maybe your life has soared in some way due to so many things just accumulating. Your life has been expanding and growing drastically. Or maybe these eclipses have been occurring within your fifth house, so looking at you Leo individuals. And so over the past year and a half, you've been through many breakups, heartache, or you've found more romantic partners entering into your life. Then again, maybe you felt a surge of creativity, so you've been creating all sorts of materials, you have all of these creative ideas, you've been playing around with many creative projects, or quite possibly you've been setting new exciting intentions when it comes to your hobbies. There's been an eagerness to try things outside of your comfort zone. Basically, these eclipses have ushered in a huge emphasis on a particular area of your life and on the themes connected with Sagittarius. So looking at things like learning more, expansion, broadening your worldview, seeing the positive side of life and being hopeful, keeping the faith, practicing your morals and gaining further understanding. I mean, I know for me, these eclipses have been taking place in my 4th house, and I've been seeing a change when it comes to my family, particularly a change in my mindset towards my family. And I would say that I have psychotherapy to really thank for a lot of the internal work that I've been doing over the past 2 years or so. Now, don't get me wrong, there have also been challenging times, especially over the past few months. It's been quite hard in a way within my home and family situation, but I've been trying to, just keep my head above water. I've been trying to have a hopeful and more optimistic attitude. Though that doesn't mean that I've been in denial or I've been avoidant, which, to be honest, when it comes to Sagittarius energy, we can have the tendency of running away from our problems, and we may also avoid our responsibilities. We may not want to feel difficult emotions that come up, so perhaps this is also something to keep in mind. Though, as I say, for me, I've been trying to feel through everything with honesty, with truth, whilst also going through challenges too, and at the same time trying my very best to remain as positive as I possibly can, though I do think that I have other people in my life to really thank for that. So that's just some insight into what I've been experiencing these past couple of years. But basically what I'm trying to say is that try taking the eclipse as an opportunity to do your own inner self-reflection when it comes to the past year and a half, and also when it comes to how you wish to move forward. And this leads me on to the third thing that you need to know about this eclipse, and that it is representing the closing of this eclipse cycle within the sign of Sagittarius. This is the final eclipse in Sagittarius for another 8 years, because the next one will not be in the sign until 2029. Therefore, really do take this as an opportunity to reflect on this past year and a half, but also use it as a time to plant new seeds, or as a time to look at things in a new way. You can even add new seeds to the ones you have already planted over the past year and a half. So for example, maybe these eclipses, they have occurred in your 9th house. So looking at you Aries individuals. And so you've been studying something new. Maybe you can then seek out a new higher educational course or a training program to then add to the studying that you have already been doing. Or maybe you set new intentions when it comes to your faith after having went through transitions towards your faith over these past couple of years. Or perhaps you establish a fresh outlook towards long distance travel. Okay, particularly if this means moving abroad or relocating to somewhere much further away. Maybe you even wish to move back to a country that you once lived in. Or quite possibly these eclipses, they have been taking place in your 2nd house. So looking at you Scorpio individuals. And so you've been earning a particular source of income which has aligned with your skills, but maybe you've been jumping between jobs over the past year and a bit. Maybe you can even seek out something that makes you feel more inspired, more upbeat, more uplifted, or perhaps you can add to your skills. You can enhance them through further education, through further training, or quite possibly you branch out differently. You can use this eclipse as a way to expand your earning potential, or maybe you begin a new stream of income, something that you do feel uplifted about. Or perhaps you can take this as an opportunity to expand your savings, or your resources with the intention of investing in your future. Basically, it's about looking over the past year and a half, what you have done over the past year and a half, as a way to see what you can do moving forward. So take the time to, as I say, go internal, reflect, give thanks. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for? Learn from the past, learn from your mistakes, and feel through any emotions that do come up. But also, with this being a new moon, set intentions and embrace the new. Especially with this eclipse being in Sagittarius, it's about forward planning and it's about looking towards the future. Then again, with this being an end of a cycle as well, perhaps this is about closing a chapter in your life or moving on from a cycle you have been in for so long. Change, growth, and learning are inevitable here. So for example, maybe these eclipses have been playing out within your 6th house, so looking at you Cancer individuals. This could quite literally then translate into you finishing up a work situation and stepping into a new one, or perhaps this means transitioning from one way of eating to another, or it signifies a stage in your life where you are giving thanks for how you've really learned more when it comes to your health, for example. But now moving forward, you wish to go in a different direction. Or quite possibly, this could be a situation where your daily tasks and your daily responsibilities, these duties of yours, they have increased a lot. But now you're ready to step into some type of change, possibly resulting in greater fortune. Whatever the case though, with this being the last eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius for a long time, take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe in deeply and to breathe out deeply. See what you have been blessed with over the past 18 months. Acknowledge what opportunities you have been presented with. Which doors have opened, how much you have grown, how much you have learned and expanded. Likewise, pay attention to who has been there, who has supported you throughout your growth, who has believed in you and who sees the best in you. But at the same time, who has been honest with you, who has called you out on your BS along the way. Now, before we do move on to the 4th thing that you need to know about this eclipse in Sagittarius, and that is that eclipses, they work in pairs. So whilst there have been eclipses happening in the sign of Sagittarius, there have also been eclipses happening in the sign of Gemini. But of course, we are focusing on these Sagittarius themes within this video. Though still, just look back over the past couple years and also keep in mind those eclipses occurring within your Gemini house. Likewise, the nodes have been within Gemini and Sagittarius throughout these eclipses too. So the North Node has been in Gemini and then the South Node has been in Sagittarius, but the thing is that they will be changing signs come the new year. Therefore, with this eclipse in Sagittarius, it really is representing a new chapter. It really is representing the end of a cycle. And likewise, especially with the South Node being in Sagittarius, this eclipse in Sagittarius, well, these eclipses overall in Sagittarius have been representative of things that we can do as a way to step out of our comfort zone. All right, so the 4th thing that you need to know about this eclipse in Sagittarius is that the moon, along with the sun and Mercury in Sag, they will all be square Neptune in Pisces during it. Now, with that being said, remember that Neptune has been in Pisces during the other eclipses in Sag that I mentioned. But what does this suggest? Well, it suggests that your judgments may be clouded during this time. So you might idealize the future too much, for example, so much so that you get caught up in how you wish things to be rather than accepting the realities of your current situation. Then again, maybe you don't give yourself an opportunity to visualize at all. You see things in a certain way, and so you aren't able to appreciate the beauty and the potential of a situation. Maybe you don't actually believe that your dreams will play out, that they will come true, as corny as that sounds. Maybe your inner faith is distorted, or maybe it's difficult for you to remain hopeful and optimistic, suggesting negative self-talk or inner feelings of depression and self-pity perhaps, or where you just don't believe in yourself, you don't believe in your potential, or perhaps there's martyrdom that comes into play here, such as you sacrificing your inner yearnings, your dreams for others. Could even be a situation where you reject welcoming the new. You reject the new chapter, these new stages, because you are afraid of being called crazy or too irrational, or maybe you'll get too caught up in other people's problems that you don't embrace these bigger, fortunate changes. Then again, perhaps you'll want to be on your own. You'll just want to be in solitude, away from all of the noise, away from all of the opinions and judgments of others, and away from the confusion and from the upset that you feel emotionally and mentally. So on one hand here, there's a possibility of you getting lost in the fantasy, lost in the dream that is representative of your future aspirations, okay? But then on the other hand, there's a possibility of you sinking into a state of misery, sadness, pain, mixed with a lack of belief in yourself. Now, luckily enough, the Sun, Moon, and Mercury, they will all sextile Saturn. So there's some grounding energy coming in. Also, Venus is in Capricorn during this eclipse, helping us create structure and helping us be more realistic and grounded. So hopefully we can focus on what truly, truly matters. We can focus on what is actually valuable to us. And perhaps also we can see which distorted judgments do not align with the reality, and we can create boundaries that help anchor us and keep us on track. So for example, maybe this eclipse is playing out in your 11th house. So looking towards you Aquarius individuals. But then you have that Neptune energy in the 2nd house, and then the Saturn energy in your 1st house. Maybe you will feel unsure or confused over a financial/material matter that impacts your future directions greatly. Well, perhaps by having a realistic outlook, you won't be as swayed. You won't feel as swayed by other people's projected negativity. Or let's say this eclipse is playing out in your 3rd house. So looking at you Libra individuals. But then you have Neptune in your 6th house and then Saturn in your 5th house. Well, maybe you'll feel caught up, or you'll become caught up in being of service towards others. So caught up, in fact, that you can't even think straight or even make time for yourself, for your own needs. And then next thing, you're dwelling and you're feeling like a victim. Well, maybe by setting time aside for fun, play, and leisure, so creating those structures and those boundaries, perhaps you'll feel much more just better about yourself, okay? You will feel in greater spirits. Essentially, with that Neptune square, we can feel a little bit misguided, unsure, confused. But then with the sextile energy to Saturn, well, then we can create realistic and practical structures that can help us. Okay, so the fifth and final thing you need to know about this eclipse in Sagittarius is that it'll be making a quintile to Jupiter in Aquarius. What a beautiful energy flow, especially given that Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. And quintiles signify our desire to create things, our potential to create things, to produce, build, and to develop. Quintiles also, they point towards possible talents and gifts. And so therefore, using this eclipse as an opportunity to create things when it comes to matters of freedom, individuality and reform, all these Aquarius themes. Jupiter has been in Aquarius for the past year, and it's been calling us to expand our horizons when it comes to these themes. And so with the eclipse in Sagittarius, it's about looking towards the future. It's about really setting those new intentions in association with our growth, and especially with Jupiter being in its last 5 degrees of Aquarius, well, perhaps there's a suggestion here about us grabbing these opportunities now. Step outside of your comfort zone and don't care about what others think. Take a leap of faith, because who knows how drastically your life will change by doing so. For example, maybe this eclipse, it is taking place in your 8th house, so looking at you Taurus individuals, but then Jupiter has also been in your 10th house in Aquarius. Well, perhaps it's about seeing what you can create within the realm of career. Perhaps a loan or a family inheritance, it contributes to a career rebellion, so to speak. Or maybe by setting new intentions when it comes to any emotional complexes you have, intentions that are hopeful and uplifting, then such things can help you build on a more humanitarian and independent social position, societal position. Then again, let's say this eclipse is occurring in your 12th house, so looking at you Capricorn individuals. And then Jupiter is in Aquarius in your 2nd house. Well, maybe it's about seeing what you can create in the realm of materials and finances. And so perhaps the knowledge you gather from behind the scenes can contribute to financial freedom, or maybe your inner journey of self-discovery. This can help build on a non-conforming investment, can help towards a possession that you wish to obtain. But basically, it's a good time to build upon the things we would like to invent within the world. And it is also a good time to reflect on the bigger picture whilst we do so. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video all about the 5 things that you need to know about this new moon total solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. I just want to say here, happy solar eclipse, everyone. I hope this cycle is fruitful and rewarding for you. Likewise, just remember to let us know in the comment section what else you think others need to know about this eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, if you would like a personal birth chart reading from me, or if you're interested in any merchandise pieces or in practical ebooks, then you can visit my website. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you do have anything you would like to share, any thoughts and opinions on today's video, then please let us know down below. And don't forget to like the video too if you did like it. And I will be back. I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!